Hey, this is Loch Ness. I've got a video that I wanted to share of this kind of making of or a behind the scenes style video of this short little animation I released a few days ago. Some kind of color theory where I combine red and blue to make this purple cube. What I'm hoping to do is break it down into stages and dive into each little one and not get too heavy in the details, but just kind of show what I'm doing, mostly for my own sake. If anybody else is interested, that's kind of why I'm sharing this. But the main purpose of doing this is I'm really enjoying this. I've done animation for over a decade now, and stepping into stop motion animation, really just taking that and running with it. And I'm enjoying it. It's my creative outlet. I'm not really doing animation as my primary occupation anymore. So I'm trying to get back into little things like this and explore it and see where it takes me. First stage here was the blocking. What I have here is, as you'll see, it's not exactly the finalized product. I mean, the story itself has sort of a strange fall apart, and the shapes themselves are actually pill formed. The original story I was trying to tell was maybe like a red pill, blue pill, Matrix style thing. The reason I got away from the Matrix story was it just wasn't working. I couldn't really justify doing anything that was like who cares if, if you take a red pill and a blue pill, I doubt you're gonna have a purple square. That doesn't make sense to me. So I kind of steered away from that and went toward just two halves of the cube, or the red and blue in the end. So you can see the pill style thing did not work. I changed that, went a different direction. Green screen in the back. The lighting was a little too light, so it was kind of hard to key out later. And then some of the original timing just didn't feel right, so I extended some frames and used that as the final timing when I went to animate. One other thing about this blocking is the one of the really great things about doing this, it does take time. It's not something where you just kind of do it quickly. It does take time to actually go and block this stuff out, but it's well worth it because I was able to utilize that to find the right moment, the right cut as well. The original cuts where, and you can see the cut here that I have, has the beginning and the end doesn't actually loop very well. I didn't land the pills at the right placement to be able to have a clean loop. In this specific animation, I wanted that clean loop to be able, it just felt better. It's short, it's not very long, so I wanted that looping to be able to make it feel like it's a little bit longer than it truly is. As opposed to something that's more story-based, you can have a nice beginning, middle, and end. This one is just a middle. It's always moving. So I was able to utilize the blocking to actually create a nice set beginning cut, so that I could go in, animate it where this breakpoint happens, but also kind of land in a similar area without having to worry too much about hitting a very, very specific mark on my table. So this second phase was actually animating the final stuff, and I don't have any type of time lapse. I wish I did. That would be really cool too at some point, but I'm using Motion Studio on my phone, an app on my phone, and I don't have that any kind of camera right now. But I used the frames as I showed in the blocking to be able to time out the stuff that I was going for, and then as I mentioned, I changed the story to be less of the pill type stuff and focus more on just splitting the cube through the impact as it hits the second time. So in this third phase, I removed the rig. I focused on removing the rigging. I forgot to take the picture at the beginning, but at the end I did take a picture of a clean slate so that I could remove my rigging. And you can see the rigging from the blocking and the rough edit as well. But I went in, you can see one mask here to remove the right rig. The next mask here is to remove the left. I even have another layer here, which adds a shadow. I took a picture of the set here with my key light off, and I was able to add back that shadow because if I remove it, you can see I have part of my rig sitting there, which I did not pay attention. I did not see, but thankfully I removed that and was able to add the shadow there instead. And then I have these other two to add back the pieces of clay and mask those out. When I went and put all of these vertices here, what I should have done is gone to the simplest shape and mask that out first, with the least amount of vertices possible and then start building out. What I did instead is I went to the beginning and I went and did the most complicated shape for some stupid reason. I don't know. I'm not trying to beat myself up. I'm, learning from these, obviously. But I went and did the most complicated shape and then went and had the most vertices possible to go and try to animate from all the other ones. It was dumb, I know, but I learned from it. I'm trying to grow, trying to get better. And what I ended up doing was having to animate every single vertice toward the edge of where the rig interacts or intersects with the clay itself. That'll be one thing I improve on next time. So on this fourth phase here is the green screen removal. You can see I have this yellow. The reason I went with yellow, it's complementary to purple, and I just it just felt right with the purple. It's a little bright, a little kind of harsh, so maybe I would work on that next time. One thing I also kind of learned from this, even through all my years of animating, I didn't do a ton of green screen removal. But one thing I kind of found from this is I needed to play with the actual color value in the color picker here to be able to find something that worked. When I chose the original one, you can see some of the light shining through on this dark background. You can see not all of it is being masked out correctly. So I went and found a different color value to be able to fill that in and actually get it to look really great. And then I added another layer here on top and just kind of curved it out around the square because there's a little bit, if you look, there's just a little shadow that shows up there, and that's fine. But it's motion, it's movement that could be drawing your attention away from the main animation, and that's not something I wanted at that time. So I went ahead and removed that as well. So for this final piece here, I have different layers of sound, and I actually have been enjoying adding sound effects. These are all made with just a single balloon, and what I did to do this was just kind of watch the animation. I went and recorded some different sound effects that I thought would fit, and then I kind of went back and picked the ones that fit the best. First one here, I'm just kind of stretched the balloon out to make this kind of wind up style sound effect, and that kind of wound up in the kind of corkscrew into the cube at the end. Then this next one, I just kind of like took the balloon and just squished it a little bit, and that I kind of went toward you'll see it's split here at the beginning and the end there. I was thinking kind of a squish is the way the sound the impact makes. So I squished it down into as it's hitting the table, it squishes. And I did the same thing whenever it hits the table for the first time. It's got more of a deeper kind of crunch. It kind of sounds like a crunch exactly, not really much of a squish, which was what I was looking for. But I thought it was fine, to be honest. I wasn't going to spend too much time worrying about it. This other sound effect is a snap. As it hits the top of that climax of when the snap of the red and blue combined to make purple, I snapped it and made that kind of pop. Then this last sound effect was drawing the balloon across the table to kind of make that little squeak. Kind of in my mind, I was picturing like, oh my gosh, like you're a kid or something. You slide on the basketball floor and you scuff your knee or something, and it's got that squeak sound. It's not meant to be that extreme in this example, this case. It's just kind of a little slide, but that's kind of what went through my mind of like a little squeak on the table there. So with all that combined, I've got the blocking that informed the final animation, then bringing that in, getting the rough edit together, then the rig removal, hiding those elements and making it animate itself and not actually showing the rig, then green screen removal, replacing the background with yellow, and then the final sound effects to kind of bring it all together. And then I did loop over it a few times in the final edit I know some things like Reddit and Instagram, things like that, you'll watch it and then it won't repeat every single time, and depending on how you're viewing it. So I just went ahead and repeated it. It's a little smoother to see that final edit. As I mentioned, this is just playing around. I'm just trying to have fun, just trying to create some cool things. One thing I want to be doing is improving every time. If you go back and look at some of my shorts, you can see as I've gone through and keep creating these, the first ones aren't fantastic. They're not great. They are, I mean, I'm not going to say any of my videos are fantastic, but you can definitely see the first few are kind of rough. The shutter speed wasn't great, where you could see some flickering, little things like that. So I'm trying to find things to improve. The things I really want to improve in my next video, and hopefully you'll kind of see these things as I go along. I want to be able to add more story. There's not much story before this. This is the one with the most story, so to speak. It's not much, but the next one I want to add not a ton, but just a little bit more story to it. I also want to try to make it a little bit longer. It may or may not loop, but I want to have something that's just a little bit more. I think the last ones I've had are like maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and that's because I'm looping it. The video itself is not that long. I think this one actually came around 4 seconds, which is, I think, my longest one, if you don't count the looping and the actual rigging in the videos I've shown before. So this might be my longest. What I want to do for the next one is try to draw it out, not to make it feel longer for the sake of length, but you know, something that has more sustenance, more meat to it than just the you know, a piece of clay moving around in a fancy way. And then the final couple of things I want to add would be some visual references for myself to be able to have better timing, kind of bring that in with my blocking to show how I can hit my timing marks better and have something that feels a little bit more character driven and flowing in a way that makes more sense than just something hitting the table. Cool, thanks for watching. What I really would love is if you have any resources, anything that you've used or have created yourself or have participated in. I'm really just trying to like get involved in this community, get involved in creating these kind of fun things. I've really enjoyed this. I want to keep enjoying it, keep growing in this area, and I'd love to connect with more people who are doing that. And if there's anything I can do to help you grow, please let me know as well. I think at some point I'll probably share what I've gone through to get to this point today. But again, feel free to leave anything that you've found helpful in your stop motion journey. All right, thanks.